Hello, crypto friends. Hope you're doing well this fine weekend. Back in the US, as you can see, the infamous lack of curtains behind me. And the temperature is pretty much doubled from what I'm used to. So dripping a good bit of sweat right now, but looking forward to the ocean tomorrow. I'll get into editing some Iceland content throughout the week, and I'll be putting out little videos at the end of the videos as normal. But let's look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Nano, Dash, Binance, EOS. Then we'll talk about some stuff at the end. So for Binance, we had for Bitcoin, we had a significant pullback, but the bulls are buying the dip. And you can see that obviously with the long lower wick here. And that is notable because we were saying to ourselves, all right, if we lose the 4-hour higher low pattern, we're going to look for a daily higher low to form. Anything above 6,177, the last little higher low, will maintain the daily higher lows. And we will not be certain that this bull move is done unless we lose the daily higher lows. So they are still intact at this point. We had an inside bar bear break at 64.70 that led to this flush, and it was a lot of stop losses triggering. And I'm looking down at 63.23 is the level that we dropped down to. So it happened very quickly, but $140 to the downside on the inside bar bear break signal. But the long lower wick shows some significant dip buying. So we'll look at it on different time frames, but there's 2 times now that the bulls have defended and bought these dips. Now, they're not seeing follow through back to the upside just yet, but you could make the argument, if you disregard the wicks here, that this is a potential bull flag in the way that this consolidation is occurring, just in the sense that it is pretty healthy at this point because of those big long lower wicks. So this would be the channel that we're watching, and that channel after the big breakout, you could call this a bull flag. So that's something that I'm keeping an eye on. We need to see a clear bull break of 65.15 to see follow through. And until that happens, going to be a little bit skeptical of the bulls for multiple reasons. Number one, we've seen a pretty solid bounce on the daily chart over the last week. Number two, the weekly chart still in a downtrend, of course. We're getting closer and closer to the end of September. We know a huge spike in volume and volatility is very likely coming sometime, I would say, within the next 3 weeks. I would be surprised if it doesn't happen before then. And of course, we have the ETF decision scheduled for the end of September, keeping in mind that that can come out early. The last delay that we had on that ETF came out a couple days before the deadline. So there's no set, this is the day it's going to happen. We just know the date that it has to happen by, and that is the 30th, I believe. And feel free to correct me if you have other information, but that is the best of my knowledge at this point. So let's look at these dips on the 5-minute smaller term time frames to see exactly what was going on. And you can see we saw just one 5-minute candlestick with the all-out dump. Now remember that this is pretty much the inverse reaction of what we were seeing when the bears had complete control, and we saw the big bull spikes for about 5 to 10 minutes and then no follow through. And it just led to slow consolidation that gave back the vast majority of that move. And at this point, we're seeing the opposite of that. It was 5 minutes of bear action that drove the price from 64.85 to 63.23. That is a $150 drop. That's very significant, multiple percent, but no follow through. It was one candlestick, and the bulls did buy that dip all the way back up and made it back and then some. And then we just saw that again. Pretty much one candlestick. Definitely you could call it, 20 minutes of downside. Big long lower wick. This one candlestick from 64.69 to 64.11. So a $50 drop. A lot less significant, but similar. And then try that again. Bulls got it all right back. And here we are trying to see some bull breaks of 65.15. This is notable, and this does favor the bulls in the short term as long as they keep seeing these lower wicks and they are buying when these dumps happen. So essentially what's happening is these dumps are clearing out support levels, stop losses are getting triggered, and this first one, a lot of stop losses were getting triggered. If we look at it on the hourly time frame, this one bear move knocked out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 higher lows on the hourly time frame. So there's a lot of stop losses there, and we call it a waterfall effect, and I got a lot of good waterfall footage coming, but a waterfall effect where we have a stop loss trigger. It sells market orders on those stop losses, which hit other stop losses that sell market orders. And it's just this cascading effect, almost like a chain reaction. And so that's what was happening here. But also what that does do is it clears out the entire order book. So if we drop $150 in 5 minutes, there's very little resistance on the ask on the way back up. And the only way that you are going to see the bulls unable to recover a significant amount of that is if the algos and the bots put asks right down at the levels where they dropped from. And then we didn't see that happening right now. We definitely saw bulls buying the dip on multiple occasions. So let's see if we can break this 65.15 level. That will be the first signal that the bulls are showing up. And then 65.65, and then the high of the move, 65.80, was a double top. Those are the three resistance levels that I'm watching. And keeping in mind, to get to the middle of our weekly range on this equilibrium, 67.50 is that rough level that the bulls want to make their way to. So let's see if we can break these couple resistances that I just pointed out and make our way up to the 6600s. Then 6700 psychological would be the next resistance. But the bottom line is bulls are doing a really good job. We've now seen on this hourly time frame 3 big drops, and all of those saw recoveries and lack of follow through. So let's check in real quick and see what the shorts are doing in response to this action. And on the daily time frame, we can see they're not doing a whole lot the last few days. So the shorts are absolutely still high while the price is slowly climbing, or at least holding up well. And we're going to see if we can break 65.15, 65.80, then I would expect some more short covering to be going on. But really the action that the bulls want to see is a bull break of the weekly lower high pattern. And we're going to see tens of thousands of shorts that would have to cover if that does take place. So once we get to a certain point of tightness on this pattern, I'm going to be putting stop buys. And that's just because if and when the break does happen, I do expect a very significant fast move, almost like that move we saw back in April, I believe it was. Got to go back to the Bitcoin chart. But back in April, when we saw that equilibrium that played out for 9 or 11 days, it got extremely tight. And then it was just a huge bull move out of nowhere. And here it was, that one candlestick. So I don't want to miss that move if we do get a bull break. Again, I am not anticipating a bull break, but I'm going to be ready for it if it does happen. And I will set a stop buy order. But I do believe we need this daily chart to set a lower high first, and then we need to pull back and form a higher low. And then I would love to see a bull break. So I do believe we're going to tighten for another week or so. We'll see what this decision does, if that has any impact. And that is where we stand on Bitcoin heading into tomorrow and into the next few weeks. If you are a newer trader, I've been saying this for probably a month at this point. If you are a newer trader, you are patiently waiting for the longer term pattern to play out and a break on this weekly pattern. If it's a bull break, you can establish long-term positions anticipating the start of an uptrend on the weekly time frame for the first time essentially in 2018. And if it's a bear break, you know to just be patient and sit on your hands, or play it bearish if you're comfortable doing so. But if you're not, you're patiently waiting, because obviously we have more downside to come if we do get that bear break. Ethereum on the daily time frame still holding up really well. We had a bear break, but only by 25 cents. We can essentially consider that a double bottom. Again, I do give a little bit of wiggle room in terms of my exact definitions of things, and that would be an instance that I would say bulls are still holding support even though it broke by a quarter. So the 4-hour time frame, I would say our higher lows are right here, and the most recent one here, 208.01, and then it's 202.50, and here are the bulls just like that heading up back towards the recent high of 227.55. So the Ethereum bulls are absolutely still holding on at this point, and they are seeing, they didn't see the significant drops. Here's the 5-minute time frame. So we're watching, what kind of drops did we have here compared to what BTC did? And we did have that one flush, and again, bulls bought the dip and fully recovered, but we didn't have as many as we did see on Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is obviously seeing a little bit more volatility, a little bit more action. Ethereum is holding up well comparatively, and if Bitcoin sees a bull break of 65.80, the top of this bull move, I'm expecting Ethereum to be up in the 240 range if we do get that bull break. So that's something to be keeping an eye on. A break of 208 will be the clear bear signal for a shift in momentum. We had one member talking about their stop loss that got triggered, and I don't have the exact numbers off the top of my head. Should have gotten it before the video, but I believe their stop loss was somewhere around 214, maybe 212. But by the time that it triggered, the slippage that we saw of about $6+ $6 to $8, that's very significant. And what that tells me is, again, stop losses are being triggered, and those stop losses in a cascading effect are taking out all of the bids at once and allowing for poor fills on those stop losses because there were so many all at once. And again, that does open up the space in between. It clears out the orders for a large amount of range, and that's when we see the V-shaped recoveries. And if you remember when the market was bullish and just beginning to consolidate back at the start of the year, the 4-hour oversold bounces were our bread and butter play, because we would dump, we would clear out the order book, and then bulls would buy the dip, and we'd have those V-shaped strong recoveries due to the lack of resistance because the order book just got totally cleared out on the way down. So Ethereum bulls, nice move. Highest price we've seen at this point on Ethereum on the 4-hour time frame. Highest price over the last, let's say 16, 20 hours. And let's see if we either form an equilibrium with the inability to break 227.55, set a lower high. We would then look to pull back and form a higher low compared to 208 and see a tightening range into tomorrow, or we're going to see a bull move. So again, another one of those favorable scenarios where the most likely scenario, favorable for the bulls, I should say, the most likely scenario is, I should say the worst case scenario, the most likely worst case scenario is an equilibrium, just a lower high and then further consolidation. Best case scenario for the bulls is obviously continuation. And the exponential supports on the 4-hour time frame are holding for Ethereum. They were pretty much lost here on Bitcoin, but recovered as the bulls are trying to break that 65.15 level to start to show me some proof of follow through. Again, great sign of buying the dip. Now we need the bull follow through to try and punch those bears in the mouth again. Nano on the daily time frame, healthy consolidation at this point. Daily inside bar broke bearish, but it's on declining volume. That's exactly what the bulls want to see. The weekly time frame, healthy consolidation, attempting to form a higher low. We have our low, high of the bounce, which broke the lower highs. When you break the lower highs, you anticipate a higher low is going to form. The spike in bull volume I highlighted yesterday was a good sign, and now the bulls need to see a break of 385 to confirm the trend change in their favor. Daily time frame, again, very healthy consolidation, declining volume. The 4-hour chart, we're looking at support of 2306. If that level breaks, I'm looking down at 2215. And as far as resistance goes, bulls want to see a break of 254 to begin to shift that momentum back in their favor, to be looking up to the high of the bull move at this point. So still very healthy on the daily time frame. And if we see Bitcoin break 65.85 and see continuation, we're going to look for Nano to be heading back up to 280s and try and test its resistances as well. Dash USD getting real tight on the daily time frame. We have our high, low of consolidation, lower high, higher low. Multiple inside bars broke bearish, but we didn't see follow through. Number one reason, in my opinion, that we did not see follow through is the dip buying we're seeing on Bitcoin. And obviously that correlation favoring the Dash bulls a bit. If we saw the dump on Bitcoin and no dip buying, I would anticipate that Dash would be heading down to its other levels of support. So bears potentially could have acted on that first signal. I highlighted yesterday how that's the highest risk, highest reward signal. Otherwise, more patient traders are waiting for either a break of 210.25 for the bulls or a break of 169.57 for the bears. And at this point, that lower wick shows we had a bear break, but the bulls are holding on. And in my opinion, again, due to the lower wicks of the Bitcoin bulls buying as well. So the 4-hour time frame to try and break momentum and shift momentum back to the bulls, I'm looking at 190.40 and 196.43. Let's actually call it 196.81. When two levels are that close, you can see this resistance level here. I put that line and I saw that this level poked above it. I always default to the one that's higher, because if we break 196.46 but we don't break 196.81 right behind it, that's not a signal that I want to act on. I want to be sure that we're going to break both of these resistances on that move. So that's what we're watching. Pretty contained consolidation. It is lower highs and lower lows on the 4-hour. Let's see if the bulls can change that and shift momentum back in their favor. Again, a lot of this is going to rely on what Bitcoin does compared to its recent highs. And as I'm talking here, Bitcoin is getting closer and closer to the first level that I want to see the bulls break for follow through. And that would give us a higher low and a break of the lower highs, 65.15. Binance. So Binance on the weekly time frame still holding a higher low. We have the low, high of the bounce, trying for this higher low. And to change the weekly trend, we have to break 11.59. The daily time frame at this point, also seeing some pretty healthy consolidation, no red flags, fairly similar to Nano, but Nano has one extra day of consolidation already ongoing. The 4-hour time frame, double bottom down here at 970. So that's the most important short-term support. There's likely stop losses below that level now because that support is more clear. If it were just one level, you can anticipate there's going to be less stop losses below it than if there's two level, because when it's a double low like that, it's a lot more clear to a lot more traders to put their stop level below that, or for shorts to enter positions when that does break. So the close range that I'm watching right now, 970 to 999, that's the range that we're in, and we're watching for a break. With the bull break, we're looking up to 1024, the high of this move. And with a bear break, we're going to be looking down to 948 as the next level after that. EOS USD, very tight as well, about to attempt a bull break. Triple top on the daily time frame, rejecting from exponential resistances. And the 4-hour time frame, as we can see, pretty contained in an equilibrium, and we're looking for a break here. The high of the bull move, low of consolidation, lower high was almost a double top, higher low. And now we'll see if we set a lower high compared to 553, or if we can see a bull break of 553 and 555 and try and get a breakout and some follow through. This is a good chart to be watching just due to the clarity on the 4-hour time frame. And if we do get that bull break, there's a lack of resistance due to the dump that we saw pretty much from 650 all the way down to $5. So if we get over these 550s resistances, lack of resistance after that. And again, if Bitcoin can break some of its resistance levels, keep an eye on EOS to get a solid move over 555 as well. So that's that. A lot of interest in, made a post on Facebook, a lot of interest in our hoodies and merchandise and stuff like that, which is awesome. Honestly, one of the main things that we've been looking to do is to create a nonprofit, which we're going to do out of Canada. So there's some steps we have to do. Obviously, we have a lot on our plate with our daily routines and daily market coverage and all that, but we moved up the priority list for getting this merchandise going. We're going to look to create a nonprofit. I want to make a voting system where once you buy something, you can type in, what you want your funds to be donated to. We'll select 3 or 5, and every quarter we'll have people vote on where those funds go to, either a nonprofit or a charity. And looking to use organic cotton. The supplier we currently use with the samples is not organic, and we were about to get ready to roll this out, and then I thought, wait a second, the organic farmer in me said, if I recall correctly, cotton is one of the biggest contributors to terrible chemicals on this planet and environmental damage. And that is the case. Cotton and pesticides, the world spends $2.6 billion on pesticides. 25% of the world's insecticides are used on cotton. It's a very detrimental industry as far as agriculture goes. So we want to get something that's organic and sustainable. We don't want to be a part of those statistics. So we have to find a new supplier. We have to get some samples and do all that. That's going to take a little bit of time. Then we have to, get our developers to make the storefront and do things like that. But absolutely want to see all of you guys wearing some TheChartGuys gear. And I think that's going to be a really cool thing in the sense of people just wearing that and going out and about their daily lives and running into strangers. I would love to see strangers, say, hey, I know the TheChartGuys, or I'm into charts and technical analysis, and then have a conversation and have a new friend. And I also want to see, if people do encounter other people, posting pictures, post a picture of you meeting somebody, and we'll give you first person who meets someone that is wearing a TheChartGuys shirt. We'll give free courses and a free month membership or something like that. And, we'll have people post on social media them wearing the gear, and we'll give away free courses and all that. So I'm looking forward to all that, looking forward to raising some funds, starting a nonprofit. That was a vision from a while ago, the Do Good Things movement, and looking forward to getting those wheels turning a little bit more. But we'll let you know when those all become available. And that's all I got for today. Continue to do good things out there. Here at the end of the video today, got a little bit of Occupy footage, some of the things I liked about it. Obviously, we had a bunch of people that could not participate and be out in the streets with us, but a lot of support where they donated food and actually, sleeping out on the city streets. We were eating very, very well due to what people were donating, and we had a bunch of good cooks there, and we just had free food. And so a bunch of homeless people would come by and get free food as well. So I like that aspect of things. And obviously all the personal stories and interaction with all the brilliant people in these encampments. So I'll do a little bit of footage from the Occupy movement, perhaps for the next couple videos as I'm editing some Iceland content, and then we'll get into some waterfalls and scenery and sheeps and things like that. So I appreciate you all watching. Great feedback on the last video. I'm really glad that people were receptive and responsive to it, and let's keep it going. So thanks again. We'll see you tomorrow.
Actually, that's a big one.
Why don't we have a meeting in the rec actually? Okay, I need to be in your car anyways.
Should I put a no bombs Christmas on you?
Yeah.
Oh, it's wicked good.
They're making them like, no, you.
Yeah.
Like, see their fucks. I like it.
Thank you so much.
I was sitting here telling John that I got 4 kids and 4 grandkids that got to survive in this world. I said, I can't call them up and say they were going to give me a ticket, man, so I couldn't take a stand for you. I got 8 faces looking at me saying, Dad, Grandpa, are we going to have a good life or a bad life? I don't care what they're going to do. People have crossed deserts, countries, oceans, Hundreds of thousands of people have put their life on the line to have a good life for freedom and independence. And I don't care what they're going to do. I don't care how many times they're going to do it.